On today's episode of the Notorious POD, I have a very special conversation about niche marketing with Jake Dwyer of 1911 Syndicate.
This is Notorious POD, the podcast for the best informed people in the real estate industry. Rob Hahn is your host, and Notorious is where the real estate industry comes for real talk with no bullshit.
As some of you know, it's not like I make any secret of it. I'm a fairly significant I'll call it a firearms enthusiast. Some people might call it gun nut. I shoot competitively. I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment and all those things. And obviously I run, for some of you who might know, I run the Facebook group Realtors with Guns. And recently I ran across a channel on YouTube that really blew me away with sort of production values, the reviews, the honesty, the straightforwardness. And I started following it. And in the middle of one of those videos, I found out, like right at the beginning, that the channel is actually operated by a real estate brokerage. I said, oh my God, my two worlds have collided. I have to sort of have them on and talk about it. So with that, let me introduce Mr. Jake Dwyer of 1911 Syndicate. Jake, how are you?
What's up? What's
going on? Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Yeah, and I said this is a conversation that I've been wanting to have with other people for so long, but you're like literally doing it. So my take on it is most of my audience are like real estate industry people. Okay,
sure.
So they're brokers, they're agents, they're MLS execs, associate execs. They're probably not that aware of the gun world, if you will. Right. So let's do a little bit of intro, because I think 1911 Syndicate, like I said, you guys produce some of the best gun-related content on YouTube. It's
good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really good, solid. The production values, everything. If you're a fan in any way, shape, or form, I urge you, go on YouTube, check out 1911 Syndicate. We'll put links in our titles and whatnot. But let's just do a little brief intro. Like, who are you? What's 1911 Syndicate, both on sort of the firearm side as well as on the real estate side?
Sure. So moment by moment, when people ask me what I do, I'm like, the answer is getting more complicated, where it's like, I don't really know. I don't know anymore. Like, I don't know, man. I'm like, it's very Bruce Wayne Batman thing, where it's like, well, I've got this like day gig, but it's totally not really like who I am. And it's like this bipolar lifestyle. So yeah. 1911 Syndicate. So I started maybe 2.5 years ago. And, truthfully, I got my real estate. I moved from California to Utah 5 years ago or something like that. And got my real estate license after a little bit. And it's, that's, of course, the answer for, hey, I'm in some sort of life crisis. I don't know what I want to do. Cool, get your real estate license. That's just like that's what people do. So I did that. And I'm sitting in day one of the Keller Williams, this is no shade at them. I like K-Dub. They're cool, but they're it's around the holidays and they're going, hey, don't forget to send out your like how to make the perfect turkey recipe card. And I'm like, for real? Like that's what all you guys do? Like you like actually send out like, here's how mashed potatoes could be better this year. Like, fucking seriously? Can you try to sell them a house for this? And I'm just like, well, all my friends are like into, shooting and guns, and they're like military law enforcement guys, stuff like that. And I'm like, this is not going to work. And so I connected the dots inside of like 10 minutes of learning how to do real estate. Like, well, that's clearly not going to work for me. And so I just thought, look, I like to do all that stuff. That's where all my communities and interests lie. So let me see if I can find a way to create a bridge between the two. So we started doing content, which is very different than it is now. And that's kind of just, the evolution of any business, I guess, that you adapt over time. But we started and it was real simple and it was pretty bad. But over time started to figure out, there might be something here. So all we really started doing was producing content, even though it was firearms related, as a means to reach people about selling them real estate. Like there was no real intent. Yeah, it's like there was no, like I didn't really care about making gun content. In fact, I resisted it. My buddy was like, we were doing like firearms, almost like skits, if you will, like the stupid shit you see on IG where it's just like, okay, haha, you got me, like that kind of stuff. And a buddy was going, hey, I think you should try doing a gun review. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do that. There's nothing I have to bring to that space. It's completely oversaturated. But he convinced me to do it. So I started doing it. And then it's like 2.5 years later, you're like, well, there you go.
Well, let's put this on. I'm glad you did. But let me throw up your website. So this 1911 Syndicate. I mean, just right off the bat, man, like we make real, like your marketing, the branding, the persona, it's unique. It really appeals to me, but this is freaking fantastic. I mean, I guess.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, hey, real estate still sucks. So we're just going to try to make it suck a little bit less. Like, I always tell people, because they're like, oh, how are you guys different? I'm like, look, man, here's the truth. When we start doing a deal, I still have to like put a key into a lock and open it and write a contract. There's no pizzazz I can put on that. Like that it is what it is. But it's like, so it's still going to kind of suck and be boring, but like I'll do my best to bring something unique to this.
So this is one of like wow, I don't even know where to start because this is so in line with it. So before I forget that, let me just ask. So you got into real estate like 2.5 years ago. We could drop this website. What was your previous life? Were you military, law enforcement? I mean, your life in California?
No. I always, I don't know, at the risk of sounding like just a prick or something, I usually leave that out of my story. So it's like, okay, we know what you do now, what you used to do before. So, so when I lived in California, the most blunt way just that I always put it is like, hey, look, I was a vitamin salesman. I worked inside of the network marketing industry is like really, if you trace it back, like that's where my background was working inside of network marketing. So I built this little business in California and it got to the place where it was kind of self-sustaining and it didn't really need me. And so I kind of just like, if you will, semi-retired when I was like 29 and I was like, dude, I'm going to like check out and just start enjoying some life, which is when I start getting into guns. And that's kind of like when guns enter my life because I had free time. And it's like, I want to golf. I could give a shit about golf. So like, you got to do something. Guns sounded a lot cooler than picking up a tennis racket. So, so I started doing that and, I just got bored and California eventually was just not the right fit for me anymore. So bounced to Utah and just kind of use it as a chance to start over.
So, and you actually have a video talk about this, like where California has a great gun culture and the worst gun legislation, right? And regulation. So I'm not in the least bit surprised at some point you get into guns, great culture, great people. And then you're like, I need to get out because this state is killing me. I mean,
it is. Oh, it's brutal. I mean, I was into guns for a few years when I lived in California and you're not you're not favorably viewed inside of that state. Like you're in, like, I can make friends with just about anyone. So it's like tons of my friends are liberal and on different sides of the fence. I don't care, man. Like if you're a cool person, we'll get along, but it's just like, eventually you go, man, I can't really indulge in any of my hobbies the way I would like to. So it's not a great fit.
So you moved to Utah, but you're not the Californians that Utahns hate. You know what I mean? Like you see this in Idaho, Utah, here in Nevada. There's the Californians. Everyone's like, oh, awesome. Thanks for coming. Right. And then there are the Californians like,
you ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
so you're the first category, but I
embraced it. Yeah. I embraced the change.
All right. So you don't have a military, you don't have an LA background, but you've been into guns for a long time. Your gun reviews are amazing, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the real estate side. And I love that you said you're sitting there listening in like training session, do whatever, turn the spring forward and fall back and the Christmas turkey recipes. And you're like, wait a minute, this isn't me. I'm a gun owner. I'm a firearms enthusiast. All my friends are. I'm going to do gun content to generate leads for real estate. Yep. Here's why it's fascinating. I thought of this. God, I got into guns in 2011. So, I grew up in New York, New Jersey area, and I went to try and get a gun when my son was born in 2007. And the cop was like, why do you want to shoot me? I mean, he just made it so obvious that I should not own a gun. I said, forget it. So I got my first gun when I moved to Texas. And almost immediately, I was in real estate at the time. And I'm like, I think there's a huge niche here. And I remember going to my agent at the time, who's a Texan native, and said, you should really think about doing content for gun owners, right? And I wasn't thinking even like gun reviews, like the amazing stuff you guys do. I was thinking in terms of like, I want to know how far away is the closest shooting range?
Sure.
Right. I wanted to know, where are the nearest gun shops? Because I'm a gun owner. I like shooting. I like doing all those things. And I wanted to know. And he's like, that's a great idea. He never did it. Right?
Yeah.
You're the first person I've ever spoken to who's actually done this. So the obvious question is, how's it going? How's it working? Does it work? I mean, it feels like
it does, but it's man, like we're in a I'm in a real tricky limbo right now where I'm really having to like evaluate, okay, like where is the path going right now? But the long story short of it is, yes, it works. Believe it or not, I got it working pretty quickly. Like even before we were really doing gun content and it was kind of in this like tactical skit category, I was getting business from it and I was brand new. I just got my license. So at the same time that I was doing that, I was still like literally knocking on doors, doing open houses for other agents and all the traditional shit, and like I'm kind of doing both and just, I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to throw a little bit of everything out there and see what works. And I was getting no hits on the traditional marketing stuff. And I was like getting a handful at least of deals done on the niche stuff. So I really just started focusing completely on that. I'll be completely candid with everyone. Like, look, we are a niche shop, if you will. Like I'm just an agent. I'm not a brokerage. I'm still attached to a brokerage. But look, we're a niche shop. We're not big. We'll probably do, I don't know, mid 20 something deals this year. So it's like, look, we are not in any way like a baller or anything like that. Like,
I don't know, man. You know as well as I do. If you're in the 20s, you're in the top 1% of agents in the country.
See, I didn't even know that. That's how disconnected I am from the real estate industry. Like, I don't even know.
The average realtor does like 6, right? And I'm looking at you're in Salt Lake City, so that's Utah real estate. I mean, if you're doing 20 some odd deals, you're in the top 1%.
Yeah, we refer stuff out too, because that was one of the things I figured out very quick. And anyone, I don't give a shit if you're like, hey, look, I'm going to be the car guy that pitches real estate inside of car stuff, or the cigar guy, or whatever it is. It's like, look, man, if you're going to start doing content, like you should obviously have the understanding that, well, those eyeballs are not just in your area. They're going to be all over the place. So if you can't capitalize on the eyeballs that are all over the place, what are you doing? So being able to, find some of those referral partners and, hey, when the phone rings in Dallas or whatever, and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, we know an agent in Dallas, and obviously you just take your referral fee on it. But it's like, you've got to be doing that. I mean, you could, of course, do content that is localized and just be like, look, I'm going to be the whatever. I'll just stick with Dallas. Like, I'm going to be the Dallas foodie guy. The guy that in Dallas who, I'm a real estate agent. That's my primary intent, is to get real estate business. But I'm going to go about it via like targeting food culture. So we're going to do restaurant reviews, food reviews. It's like, cool. You built a local like niche audience versus if you're going broad, it's like, hey, the eyeballs are going to be all over the place. So figure out how to capitalize on it.
But see, so that was in 2011 and, or 2013, whenever I came up with this, I was like, I completely agree. The idea of niche marketing in real estate is very sort of widely accepted and very common. And people talk about, you want to become a hyper local expert, right? So it's not Salt Lake City, like it's too big. You want to focus on like this neighborhood, and I'm the expert for this neighborhood. And that means, restaurant reviews, store reviews. Like you want to do videos of here's what that whatever Main Street of this tiny little village is like, and here's the butcher, and here's the whatever. Like that's very accepted.
Sure.
What I couldn't understand was, what about the passion hobbies?
Yes.
And there are only a few of those, actually, if you think about it. I think you could argue maybe golf would be one, because golfers will actually like shape their lives around golf. Yeah. Maybe like outdoor ATV, that type of stuff, or skiers, right?
Yeah.
But the other one was guns. Like once you get into this community, you realize like, yo, this is sort of an all obsessive hobby if you become the hobbyist. Yeah, I don't know how many of us there are, but it's a pretty significant community, and there's zero marketing being done on this, and you're the only ones who are doing it. So that's why I was curious. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny because I in many ways, like I'm the worst, representative for the real estate industry, because I'm like, look, I don't pay attention to anything that anyone else does. And it's not because I'm too good for it or too cool for school. It's none of that. It's because I'm not interested in it. It's like, I know what I do. I enjoy what I do. It's like, I couldn't tell you, the brokerage, I've literally only been over there like twice because the referral checks got sent to the wrong place and I had to go sign for them. It's like, I don't know. I've never been there. And it's like, again, it's not because I'm trying to be too cool, but it's just like, in many ways, like, I don't want the outside influence, because the real estate industry is one of those things where everyone just copies everyone else. They go, okay, cool. Well, this is the template. Like, this is the recipe for how you get successful. Cool. I'll do it. And I'll just try to do it like better than you did it. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like, I'll do more cold calls. I'll do more door knocks or whatever it is. Go, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. So I'm just going to find my thing, and I'm going to tune out everything everyone else does.
So let's actually then delve into just a little bit. All right. So you do gun content. And by the way, like I said, the content you're doing is just, it's surreal. And I have to tell you, the video that kind of made me realize like that you guys exist was your review of the Spectre comp, the 365 Spectre comp.
Yeah.
So a couple of things to say about that. Number one, it's an interesting video because a lot of people are interested in that particular gun as a concealed carry option. But the second one is just how honest you guys were, and you actually like call that out, that a lot of influencers are, who knows what the arrangement is, but it seems like they're, let's just say, influenced by SIG. Okay. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've now been on the inside at least enough to have like a peek behind the curtain where you go, oh shit. So that's how all that works.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, in 38 minutes, we do Friday at 2 p.m. Mountain Times when we have one of our 2 videos a week come out. It's like, I mean, I'm going to break some hearts in today's 2 p.m. video. Like, it's going to be like, everyone's like, I can't wait. This is my favorite gun. I'm like, oh guys, this is going to be a heartbreaking one for you guys. So, but yeah, the honesty side is key to it. So
the 2 things about that. Number one, since you are making the YouTube videos, you started the content creation in order to generate leads to the real estate business. Like, how's the volume? Like what do you see normally? What are you kind of happy with? In other words, you get like 5 leads per video, 10, 100. Do you know what I mean? What's that kind of like?
I don't think you're ever really going to be able to trace it to particular videos unless someone happens to be like, oh, I just watched this video and I hit you guys up. Because YouTube's a totally different animal than Instagram. Because Instagram, hey, your post at best has 24-hour life cycle. Right. So, hey, if you're putting the effort into Instagram, that's fine, but just understand that there is a shelf life. So the leads that are coming in, they're probably coming in from right here, right now content. YouTube's a totally different world, because I'll get a lead that'll come in from a video I made 2 years ago, and so it's impossible to say. But I mean, volume, I don't know. We probably get, I don't know, maybe half a dozen leads a week that come in, through email. Some of them are out of state, some of them are local. So it just kind of depends. But we get a lot. And this is a problem for us that I've had to just deal with over time. It's like, well, I created the monster, so now you deal with it. But it's like, we get a lot of people that hit us up because they want to buy land to shoot on.
Oh,
and it's just like, oh God.
Makes perfect sense. Yes.
Makes perfect sense, right? But think about it from the agent perspective. They're like, think about it from my perspective. Some dude hits me up and he's like, hey, I want to buy some land to shoot on in Montana. I'm like, cool. Yeah. So one, immediately that tells me it's out of state. I'm getting a referral fee. Way less margin, right? And how much is the average little chunk of 5 acres to, for recreational land? I mean, we're talking like $30,000 real estate deals. There's nothing there. I mean, I have to tell people, I'm like, look, we have a minimum price point when it comes to land, which we've set at like 200 grand. Like, look, if it's not 200 grand, there's simply not enough in the, like, we will lose money on this between time and resources. This is a losing battle for us. And not to mention, you guys have a shitty track record on following through and actually doing this. We've had one person in 2.5 years who's actually acquired a chunk of land where they can shoot on. Like, that's it. So we just pretty much just deny it all.
It occurs to me though, there are companies now that are popping up like Acre Trader, like Fabrica, there's these sort of online land marketplaces. Who knows? And look, maybe somebody, if you're watching this and you know about land, give Jake a call. Maybe you have a solution that by what.
Hey, I'm open to ideas. I'm open to ideas. I don't. Yeah.
Makes perfect. All right. And then the second question is, do you I mean, I'm assuming you follow with that sort of honest approach to houses as you would do with guns. Like
You have to.
What's, is that a problem? Is that a plus? In other words, like, okay, you're touring a house with a buyer, just go, look, this is a piece of shit. Don't buy this house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For the most part, I think I have the benefit of people know what they're getting. It's like, hey, if they, watch me on the internet, I guess, like, hey, well, there's some connection and trust level that we have with each other, where it's like, you feel like you know me and my personality, even though I don't know you, right? It's like, you watch our stuff, so you know me. So it's like, they kind of expect that, but they also, that's the reality, is they expect that. The good news is I don't have to pretend anything that I'm not, because for me, it would be very weird if you watched us blow shit up and then I show up in a Tesla in a suit. It's like, what this is like, not at all why I hit you guys up. Like I could find this anywhere. Yeah. Like, so I mean, yeah, we try to keep it really honest with people, without being rude, but keep it honest with people. But I'm like, look, again, there's only so much I can do to change the real estate process. I always try to do show and tell whenever we're doing houses. Usually I've got some like cool ass gun in the back seat, and I'm like, sure, grab that box from the back seat. Like, this will be our one fun moment for the day.
All right. So I mean, look, it's awesome. The other thing that I had to ask you about was, unless I'm totally wrong, because you guys did a video where you showcased this, you might have some of the coolest closing gifts I think I've ever seen. I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't you make your own custom knives that you give away?
Yeah, we have knives made for everyone, because it was, I always, like, I'm not a nickel and dime kind of guy. I'm like, look, I appreciate anyone that gives us a chance, because it's what keeps the lights on, right? It's like, so the $25 Home Depot gift cards, I'm like, I call bullshit on that, everyone. Like, that's total fucking horseshit. Yeah. Like, hang on, you just made 12 grand and it's like, here's a gift card. Like I hate to break it to everyone, but anyone that's like an agent watching this, a gift card is a fuck you gift. Like that's what a gift card is. It's like, I was too lazy to actually think about who you are as a human being. So I'm like, cool. Yeah. All of our clients are like mill, LE, like hunter, shooter, stuff like that. So yeah, we've got a partnership with a bladesmith who like actually forges knives. And yeah, if they're long distance, like they have to send us measurements of their hand and stuff, because the blades actually get fit to their hand. So like, this isn't off the shelf stuff. Like, we actually have knives made for everyone.
Oh no, they're gorgeous, man. I mean, I saw the video. I was like, oh my God, it almost made me want to try and buy one of your homes, except I live in Vegas, and what I need a home in Salt Lake City for.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a fun part though. I nerd out on that. It's one of my moments where I can go, hey, we can kind of bring this full circle and give you that experience that maybe feels a little bit different. Like, hey, look, if I eat a few $100 on this deal, but it's like, I'm happier, they're happier, they had a cool experience, like, I'm willing to eat a few $100.
But here's what I thought was so brilliant about it, is it's so on brand for you, right? Because it would actually be off brand for you to be like, thanks for buying this house, here's some Cutco knives. Like that's off brand, whereas something like what you're doing, this custom made, sort of EDC knives. And I sorry, I didn't pull up the sample of it, but you could go check it out. It's got a ring, I mean, it's a combat knife, fixed blade.
Well, we do a different one every year. So like this year, the one, I'd grab it, but I don't want to leave the camera. Like, it's a kukri, so it's more of a bushcraft tool for, that the Gurkhas still carry. But like, I mean, we've had knives. The coolest photo I got of one of our knives from one of our clients was the knife went to the Arctic Circle, because he's a special forces dude, and they were doing training up in the Arctic. And I was like, damn, that's cool to see one of our blades go to the Arctic Circle. That
is cool. All right, so let me take it to the next level. So I think it's on brand. Here's the thing that I wrote a post, I want to say earlier this year, maybe end of last year, and I was looking at sort of the big trends that affect real estate, right? Again, we don't, like, this is our first time really meeting. I've been writing a real estate blog since 2009. And one of the things I love doing are like the 7 big trends for next year. And one of the trends I pointed out was, I think given what's happening in the country as a whole, I always thought that we would see an explicitly conservative real estate brand launch. Well, what I meant by that was, like, I was looking at things like 511 Tactical, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, you guys make t-shirts and jeans, okay? But because you're really embracing the sort of more outdoors conservative gun owner culture, you have a following. Black Rifle Coffee, and then after I published that, Jeremy Boring and the Daily Wire crew come out with Jeremy's razors, right? In other words, we're getting to a point in the country where the niche is a lot bigger than people imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I've always thought, why don't we see that in the real estate side of things? Now, I'm not saying that you guys will be that brand, like 1911 Syndicate.
I don't know that I want to be that. Yeah, correct. I don't know. I got the bandwidth to do that one.
But it feels like you're part of that overall sort of shift. So I guess one thing I was curious about is over the last 2.5, 5 years as you're doing this, how are you seeing that? Are you seeing like more and more people kind of going, you know what? I want to do business with you because you sort of reflect my values as well? Or are you seeing less of it, or it's the same, or what do you think?
I would say right here, right now is strange, just because like everyone's like kind of freaked out right now, and it seems like a lot of people are just going, I'm going to be on pause, but like minus this little window that we're in right now. Sure. Yeah, I mean, we tend to pick up a little bit year by year. The biggest limiting factor for us, if I'm being critical of myself and in my own business, I go, look, the biggest limiting factor is that like I'm not passionate about real estate. Like I figured that out relatively simple. It was a paycheck, and like I'm efficient at doing deals, but I'm not passionate about it. I'm passionate about the gun shit, which means that I only apply so much effort to marketing the real estate business. So I would be delusional to think I'm going to have some massive business with a very small amount of attention that I actually apply to the real estate business. I think if, and this is like a very real conversation I'm having right now, if I were to essentially kind of, in a sense, offload the real estate side of the business to someone who says, hey, look, I'm in your niche. I am passionate about real estate. I think I can actually really throw some fuel in the fire of the real estate marketing side of it. Yeah, I think we could probably actually get to be pretty substantial. But I think people are seeking over time, and it's kind of a bummer, but it's like, look, as the country's become more divisive, people want to support their little camp, right? Whatever that camp is. And that's kind of sad, but also, again, I mean, if you look at it from an entrepreneur perspective, you go, well, there is something there, right? There's something there that you can not take advantage of. It sounds bad, but you get what I mean. Like you can, carve out your niche there. So
we don't control the division in society. We just don't. No. We just have to adapt to it, right? And this whole thing could apply on the exact opposite other side. Somebody could be like, 100%. Look, I'm going to be all about rainbow, flags and. Cool, whatever works, right?
Do your thing, man. And that's how I even got the idea, to be honest, in the first place. I don't even know the guy's name, but there was some dude that I was getting my real estate license. One of my friends told me, oh, there's this guy who, man, I don't remember exactly what the deal is, but like he's a gay dude in Salt Lake, completely embraced, like immersing him, like he became the real estate dude for like the LG, I can't even remember all the acronyms. Everyone bear with me, the LBG community. Like he's the guy you go to, and he's really integrated himself as the real estate guy in that community. I'm like, well, cool. Why couldn't you do that inside of guns? Despite being polar opposite things, like why not? Like, what's the difference? So
they're not polar opposite because there are plenty of gay gun owners.
Oh, for sure. I just mean in terms our stereotype of like really tough dude, and then like rainbow flag community. It's like they're considered to be very, very different communities. You know? But I do think there's a big opportunity there for like, who knows, man, someone might see this and go, look, I got no interest in anything that I do personally, but like there's a message there, which is, look, man, if you really love wine, like you're like, I love wine, I'm passionate about it, but all I do is send out direct mailers and all this shit. Like, why don't you become the wine real estate lady? Like, why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And obviously your broker's cool with this, right?
Dude, I told my broker when I switched brokerage from Keller Williams to like a more of a statewide one, not that long ago, year and a half ago. I told the new broker, I'm like, look, I'm not going to get into the whole thing that I do, but like I say this respectfully, mainly what I'm looking for right now is a place to hang my license and for them to stay out of my way. Like you're not going to see me. I'll always be respectful of you guys. I won't break any rules, but it's like, I'm going to do things totally different than you guys. You're probably never even going to see it. I think my broker has no clue what I do. I think they have no idea what I do.
What about other agents in your office? Like I said, you're 1911. Like you guys you're no longer like a tiny, no one's ever heard of you channel.
Yeah.
you're getting up there. You're not, it's Coley and Noir, but you're getting way up there, right?
Yeah, there's some amount of whatever there, but I don't know another agent inside of that office. And again, it's not because of like too cool or anything. Frankly, if my office understood what I did, I would imagine they would want to call me and say, "Hey, would you be willing to come do like a little niche marketing class for us?" And I'd say, "Sure, I'm happy to help." But I think they just have no clue what I do.
So, do you have like an agent team as 1911? I know you have a partner. I think Chris, your
So
partner is also in Phoenix, I think, right?
Yeah. So Chris lives down in Arizona. He was when we started doing videos. I can't remember how the hell the idea came up to have him in videos, but he was kind of like transitioning careers. He used to be a dog trainer, figuring out what he was going to do next, and I was like, man, why don't you start being in videos, get your real estate license, might get some deals here and there. And so, he's down in Phoenix, but I have, because over time, if all I had to do all day was real estate, I could still manage the amount of real estate business that we have.
Right.
The truth is, most of my time these days is actually more occupied by on the content side of the business. Yeah. So I have a girl out here named Heidi who she really works. She really doesn't do anything content related, but she works really inside of the real estate side of it to one. And this is a weird thing, and it feels a little egotistical to say it, but like she is a degree of a gatekeeper to me. Because there is that weird thing. Like, again, if you're the lady and you start the wine channel and over time it gets popular and they know that, I could probably talk to the wine lady if I said I'm interested in real estate. Yeah, you wind up on a bunch of bullshit calls that aren't going anywhere. And it's just like, so there has to be a degree of like, hey, we got to find some way to filter out some of this stuff. Cause when it's a real lead, like, of course I'll talk to him, but like, so she helps me out with it. And right now we're kind of figuring out what that next evolution is like.
It just seems like, especially again, I don't know specifically your area of Utah, but like Nevada, Utah, we're seen as like, this is a place where folks tend to flee sort of the more oppressive regimes. I'd have to think there are younger guys who are out there, maybe they just left the military or something. They're like, what do I do? Get your real estate license, maybe go join the 1911 Syndicate team. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like an obvious growth path for a team.
Yeah. I think there's something there. Again, it would come down to, look, if I really said I'm going to genuinely apply myself, and that would mean to the real estate side of this business, which would also mean that I'm now not applying myself on the content side, because you can only do so much. I could really, I think structurally, like I could grow the real estate side of it. I know that that's not where my passion is, right. Which is why, frankly, I would like.
I think it's finding a partner who's passionate about the real estate side, who also likes guns, but they don't love guns. They're not into it. Like they're not gonna go to the desert to film videos of shoot. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But they like.
I've got that handled. And truthfully, that is. Largely where we're at right now is me kind of coming to that. Think about this, right? This is a weird, dilemma for anyone who might start the niche thing, right? Let's just say, I'll go, shit, take me, right? So you start doing gun content, which you love. You love guns. Don't necessarily love content yet, but you love the gun side of it as a means to sell real estate. And over time, content starts getting a little busier and busier. And you're like, man, I really enjoy the content stuff, which makes me a little not as interested in real estate because I really love the gun stuff. Right. And it's like, well, what if your channel and content kept getting more reputable, where eventually you're like, hey, like we actually have a legitimate like media production here where I could probably pay my bills just doing that. And I don't love real estate. Well, now you got a dilemma, because the reason you started doing content was to get real estate going. But now you're like, well, shit, content's where all my passion is. So what do I do with real estate? So the answer for me, truthfully, over the next 6 months to 12 months is probably going to be, look, I'm going to try to find a partner out here who goes, look, I get it. I'm inside of your niche. I want nothing to do with the content side, but I actually really do enjoy real estate. And I'd like to help you grow that and take a chunk of the business. I'd be like, dude, let's do it.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're listening to this and you're anywhere near the Salt Lake area, maybe give Jake a call, because I'm going through my head, like, who do I know in Salt Lake? And I know a couple people in your area that maybe you guys should meet and have conversations, you know?
Well, and look, it's like, look, for us, there's two sides of the real estate house, which is for anyone who gets into that niche marketing thing you're probably going to have, which is there's the local stuff and then there's the long distance stuff. We probably get more leads out of state than we do in state. So,
right. And like I said, you know, look, if I lived in Texas right now, I'd be giving you a call. If I lived in Tennessee, I'd be giving you a call. If I lived in Florida, I'd be giving you a call. Hey, let's talk about Syndicate, right? You know, this sort of do the content, and then there's a real estate side of this. It's a big enough niche. It's a huge niche. Yeah, and I think even if you're not doing like, I want to buy land to go shooting, I just want to buy a house for my family, right? We're at the point in time where people are like, look, it's two real estate agents. I don't know the difference between them. I'm going to go with the guy who likes guns. You know, like that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And you don't have to pretend and lie and be like, I'm passionate about real estate. Be like, no, I'm a real estate agent. I can help you buy and sell houses. But really, I love guns. And that's why you're here. That's how you found me. Like, I think that's actually okay. You know?
I think it's okay. I think there's a lot of people out there that, I think it's just societal culture stuff. But I think there's a lot of people that, hey, whatever their job is, they really don't like it, but it keeps the bills paid. But they have to convince all their friends and family that like they're passionate about what they do. And it's like, bro, no, you're not. And it's okay to admit that. It's okay to admit that it's a job. It pays your bills. And that's fine, man. No judgment. I'm just happen to be a human being that I've discovered over myself over time is like, I'm way better at doing stuff that I'm passionate about. Like I just am. I'm better at it.
And as we all are. So, I mean, I think I could get the answers to all this from just your website and your tagline. But are you at all involved with like NAR, you know, the realtor organizations, any of that?
I am, because I have to be per the brokerage. Like, I mean, like, I guess I'm an NAR member. My life probably be a lot easier if I wasn't, because I could ditch the shit that I can't say. But yeah, I got yelled at my broker like real early on, because like I wasn't being me, but I was on like Instagram, and this there was this trailer in a parking lot that had like this giant real estate, you know, one of the real estate teams, and they're all doing the cliched like arms folded, and they're all in like matching suits and shit. And I'm just like, I made some snide comment. My broker, like, it got out to my broker. He emailed me that night. He's like, you absolutely cannot say anything negative about another agent. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, my bad. I didn't know. I wasn't even trying to be mean. Funny thing is, I see that guy who I made the comment about in the gym every morning, and he's a nice guy. I don't know. I mean, I follow all the rules, but I'm probably like the black sheep of the industry, you know?
I mean, honestly, I don't think most of them know that you exist. You know, I think everyone in Utah, they're freaking out about Homey. You know, they're freaking out about, you know, companies like that. They're not that worried about 1911 Syndicate. But like I said, I do think there's something here. And maybe it's not you, Jake. To your point, you're passionate. Maybe it's another, you know, brokerage out there, another agent who sort of had the similar type of, you know, viewpoints and culture and passions that we have, and they're like, oh, you know what? I want to parlay this. I want to do the niche marketing. I want to have that content-based success and to work with clients that I don't have to mince words around. No, you know? Because I'm imagining nobody's calling you who's like, yeah, I work for whatever Bloomberg, you know, and you know what I mean? Like, they're not calling you to represent them. I imagine, you know.
No, and you're okay, you know. Yeah, I prefer it, because it's just like, look, I don't have to pretend anything I'm not. Like, this is this is how I would show up to a showing. You know, it's like, like what you see is what you get. You know, I talk the way I talk. Like, you know, like you know, that's what it is. It's just how I prefer it. And you know, hey, if a grandma calls me to sell her house, like, yeah, I'll probably do it, but pretty unlikely she's going to call too.
Yeah. So in a weird way, man, I think we're going to end up in a different place than I thought, because I wanted to ask about like niche marketing and how that's helped the real estate business, but it almost is like it has helped, and it's actually established, you know, you have a niche, but it's almost like for it to be effective, you have to love the niche more than you love the marketing.
Kind of. I look at it like this. I was telling someone not that long ago, I don't remember what the subject matter of the niche was, but I just said, look, if you're going to do it, you have to truly do it. Like, it can't be like you have to fully embrace it. If you're going to be the, you know, as we see a bourbon shelf behind me, if you're like, look, I'm going to be the guy who's like the whiskey realtor and I put out whiskey reviews and everything. Like, hey, you got to actually do it. Like, you got to fully embrace it. You can't like kind of be into it. It's like, no, you got to fully embrace it. And it's like, I mean, I've fully embraced, like, look, we're the Gun Guy channel. We like make jokes like you would make in a locker room, and it's crude sometimes and all that. It's like, look, we're not putting on a show like that. This is actually who we are. And it's like, hey, your niche, you genuinely have to be into it.
Right. And if you're super successful with it, at some point the niche comes to dominate. That's the marketing, if you will, which is awesome, thing.
In many ways, it's the best compliment, because you're like, well, turns out you really loved whiskey, and because you did, your channel or books or blog, whatever it is, got popular enough. You're like, I don't really need the real estate. I could just do the whiskey thing, which is what I love. Of course, the smart play at that point would be like, cool, who can you delegate the real estate to? So you can just keep driving some business to it and be the cool, fun whiskey guy.
Right. But, that's the way that agent teams are structured anyway. Right. I mean, if you look at the most successful agent teams, they're all structured kind of that way, where you have the very, successful like face on the billboard type of agent. And you know what? The only difference is that they're really passionate about real estate and they're constantly talking about real estate stuff and stuff on niche. But the concept is sort of the same thing. Like Gary Ashton is not necessarily going to be calling on every potential buyer lead. That's not happening. His team of agents are, but he's the guy that's sort of driving the ship. And I could absolutely see this working with a niche marketing type context, especially when you have a strong content play like you guys have. So anyone's listening, that's something to think about. And again, it doesn't have to be about guns. Like you said, it could be wine, it could be whiskey, it could be whatever you're passionate about.
Cars would be a great one.
Cars would be great. I'm the camping realtor. Great. You be the camping, just get real deep into your passion and channel it. And real estate happens to be an area where, look, in a bizarre way, maybe that's the parlay. You have a real estate business, so you're going to pursue your passion, make that a niche marketing thing. And then after a while, you're so successful in your niche marketing content, you just go, the real estate is secondary. I'm now doing, I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube for my, camping channel. Great. Good for you. That is a business, a media enterprise in itself. So I think that's potentially.
Oh, that's a dream. That's a dream, man.
Jake, I just want to say thanks, man. This is exactly what I imagined this conversation going, because this is exactly how you are in your videos as well. And to your point, that's how this business will end up working. Before I let you go, I do have to ask you a question.
Sure.
So, again, in a recent video, you mentioned that your EDC is a 365 XL.
Yep.
But you love the 1911, right?
Yeah.
Your channel is the 1911 Syndicate. I have to ask, why not the Wilson Combat SFX9?
Funny enough, two-part. One, I actually have a 1911 carry gun being made now by Nighthawk. Spoiler alert. So that is, I don't know, probably within the next couple months that'll be ready. So I'm super stoked about that, because that'll be red dot.
I can't wait for you guys to make that video. Yeah.
Like I'm stoked on that. It's a new model they just put out. The Wilson Combat one, frankly, I'm interested in it. To me, that gun, because I think it's double stack, it's going to be a little too fat for me for a carry gun. Like in the winter, I can pull that off, but like I'm not a huge dude. So especially in the summer wearing t-shirts, it's like, man, I need a single stack gun. Like it's just too much mass, and it's honestly reminds me of a Glock 26. Where you're like, man, it's just too stubby. Yeah, it's just too stubby.
Yeah,
doesn't make me want to carry it.
Yeah. No, I have this debate, at least on like online forums all the time. It's like every single situation I could think of a double stack subcompact, like a 26 or a P10S or whatever. Like every single time, like I would just carry the compact size. It's the same width. Well,
and we just finished a big. I mean, it was one of kind of like it'll almost be like one of our coming out moments over the next. Well, shit. Actually, I think the trailer's in my inbox right now. But we just finished a big project with HK this past weekend, where it's like we had HK directly. HK came to Utah actually for this. And one of the guns we featured was the HK P7, which is Hans Gruber's gun from Die Hard.
That's right.
And the reason they designed that as a single stack back in the 70s, because all the data said that's enough rounds to get you through whatever situation you're in. So it's like, the truth is, it's cool to have 15 rounds, but hey, look, they've been studying since the 70s how many rounds you need, and it ain't 15.
Well, all right. Well, there's the answer. That was burning questions. And if again, I think a big chunk of the audience is probably, if you will, interested in these topics. If people want to find you, like I said, I will have your channel in there. How might they find you on the internets and the socials?
Fortunately, I think 1911. I think we're the only 1911 Syndicate, so you can probably type that into Google, and we're going to pop up on the YouTube searches and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. It's
cool.
just straight up 1911 Syndicate.
Right on. Jake Dwyer, thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you all.